what we mean, this is not our basis. The principle of world is the world, everything in the world is put together from various individual pieces. A table is one unit, but it's not one unit. It's a union among many different pieces. Not only the board and the legs are different, separate pieces, and each leg is a separate piece, but the board itself is also consists of many sections. It's not one. And even if you have a board, I'm taking a step deeper further. You have a board that is really cut from the same tree. It's one piece of wood. That piece of wood does not represent a unit, because that unit can very easily be taken apart. What is it that gives us the sense of perfect unity? As if the whole world is really one nakuda, one point. Inseparable. This is what we said yesterday. Now we are kind of re-emphasizing it with greater clarity, with greater emphasis. And the principle is that we are not really consciously relying on that which gives us support in the world. But in the world, even something that is one, it is not one that is not separable, that's not breakable. It is breakable. And anything that's breakable does not present a sense of fundamental solidity. This is not where we perform. And as we said yesterday, what is the sense in which we are performing? We are performing in the divine reality. We're performing in the divine reality. We don't know what the divine is. We don't sense it. We don't see it. But we sense. What we sense is what we rely upon is that there is a creator who creates everything. The creator who wants this unit, this unity, despite it's being put together from many pieces. And we are relating to that creator's perception or presentation of the world, rather than our experience of the world. This insight is really part it's really part of the spirit that is included in these words that we learned for such a long time. Shorsher Ho'amiti. The last two words on page Kufnun Dalet. Shorsher Ho'amiti, the root that is true. Not a perfunctory root. It's two boards that were glued together, therefore it's one thing. Amiti means something that is a root in truth. From the truth source. What is truth? Truth is only one thing. Hashem Elokim Emes. Truth is only the divine. World is not truth. Even something that is solid and put together, but it is not the truth. It is made to stand. Truth means, now that we've got to that, now we have to put the, so to speak, the nail in the head. Truth means something that stands on its own. That's true. It stands on its own to that extent that you do not even ask proof or explanation, because it's a completely self-sustaining, self-sufficient, self-imperative. That's true. This is the meaning Shorshei Ho'amiti. The root of a human action. Listen to what the Maimon is talking about. Human action. On what basis does a human being walk the earth? Or does any of his actions? On what basis does a human being sit next to a friend and says, okay, we'll sit together, we'll join in. How you join in? You're two separate entities. There's a truth that envelops all of us. And this enveloping truth surfaces when we greet each other. It surfaces on the worldly level. It doesn't get created then. It surfaces when we greet each other. The shoylish, the root of that union, when you say hello, I love you, is not by this introduction. It is a divine truth that encompasses, envelops the whole world and us too. The Rebbe says, phenomenal statement. We've on it already for weeks, I don't know how long. That a human action is rooted and given strength and given support and enabled. The root, Shorshei Ho'amiti, is enabled by the divine knowledge of this action. God knew this action, knows this action from his perspective, from God's perspective. This knowledge is what trickles down into the world and what enables this action on the human level. It becomes perfectly natural for us to say, hi, Yitzchok. We're not creating that union at that time. I'm glad that finally, this is the fifth try, I think. I think we are getting to hitting the principle over here. Hashem's knowledge is what we're experiencing as we are going through life in the world. It's right there in this moment. Okay. We have 5 minutes. Anyone, this is so profound. It's just so real, so out of this world, that I want to give us 5 minutes. Anybody who wants to step in and ask a question. Not a question of doubt, but a question if it's something not clear.
Can I take a rain check?
Want to take a rain check?
I want to ask the question. That question on different occasion, I want time to think about it. I don't want to ask.
No question. You answer, Jen. You don't take a question now.
No, I'm not trying to question. I'm saying, I don't want to. I appreciate the principle, but I don't have.
I don't understand. What is the point of this saying? You don't have a question now. Don't ask a question now. You'll ask a question then. Huh? He doesn't have a question. So what's a rain check?
Yeah.
Rain check means you owe me the question. Okay. I'll keep it in abeyance.
No, okay, no, sorry.
Okay. Thus, it's clear from what we already discussed. This knowledge is superworldly. There may be miles and miles that are perceptualized in this knowledge, but it's not a conglomeration of miles. The entire spectrum of world existence is seen there as one entity. It's seen from a divine perspective rather than from a worldly perspective. Again, the difference. Worldly perspective means that something is put together and it's separable. The divine perspective is something which is not put together and it cannot be separate. It's one truth, one accord. This knowledge is clearly within the divine. The divine, as we have to remember, the divine is the source, is the spirit and the enabler of the existence of world. World is drawn from the divine. As I said many times in the past few days, few weeks, there is no such thing as existence but for the divine. Despite the fact that the world looks towards such a solid presence, a real presence, that is because of our short-sightedness. Because we're blinded by the worldly contextual, so they say, the tangibility. Oh, such a tangible thing, of course it's real. It is not. It is there because the divine gives it a presence. As we said just before, when a person walks, he's not walking on the world, he's walking in the divine truth. And this is why he's so smooth and he's so not confident. He's so whole. He doesn't have even a sense that he is accomplishing anything. After all, you're moving from place to place. You may have covered 2 miles. There is no sensation there of breaking boundaries.
Can I ask something?
Yes, sir.
On one hand, we're saying then that Emes is the Nakoda, and world is like conglomeration, put together from a separate.
Shlomo, I'll tell you one thing. Your English is improving from day to day. Okay, let's go.
And but now we're saying that the whole existence of world is from that Nakuda. So is world? I mean,
Go ahead, finish your question.
This is.
I'll help you finish the question. Let me help you finish. I understand where your predicament is. We do see world. Are we seeing one nakuda, or are we seeing a conglomeration of many pieces? Are we looking at world, or are we looking at something which is super worldly? The answer is, please understand the answer. We're looking at world that is maintained and presented to us by superworldly divine truth. If we were looking at the world per se, something maintained by world, we would not be able to feel so confident and so trusting. Every day we wake up in the morning, oh, is the sun still here? We had, way back when, we had illustrated this the following way. We said, see this, I'm holding us. Can you see this?
No.
No? He sees it. And you hold something up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm holding this up. And you see it suspended in midair. And you're not bewildered. What's going on? How is it suspended in midair? This thing is tending to go downwards, and any second it's going to break away and go down. So this thing itself is harmless. But what if this were a heavy piece? We constantly expect it going down. It wouldn't, it's not. Why? Because you're perceiving that this thing is not suspended in midair. This thing is being held up by the hand that holds it. This is within our realm, within the world. The truth is that the whole world, the whole entire the reality of the world, everything at the whole unification of the world is being held up by the divine will. Divine knowledge. Yes.
And this essential point that it's all in his hand and being held up by him. Still, we have variation and real distinctions. This is Jerusalem, this is Babel, this is Babylon, this is yesterday, this is today. Seemingly, if it's all inside a point of truth, everything is essential. The distinctions, the qualities fail to don't matter anymore. So we say both, right? No,
not both. We said one. The principle of these distinctions and the many pieces is in order to provide a basis in an environment in which we can function as human creatures.
Okay, but the truth of this principle that all is in his hand seems to nullify time and space. Everything is inside one point of truth, ultimately.
That is absolutely true. This is why time and space is not a vulnerable thing. We're not concerned about it. But at the same time, we know that time and space is held up by his wish, by his knowledge.
And that, you said, is for the sake of some kind of playground, work
You
environment.
mean the different division of time and space is in order for a human being to feel that he is at home, that is his world.
Otherwise, he wouldn't be a Bria. He'd just be one with.
Otherwise, he would be totally dysfunctional in his level.
Yeah. Okay.
Here, I want to give you a gift. I said, okay, give me a gift. Here. No, but this is mine already. Before you picked it up, it was mine. What are you giving me? In other words, if we were oriented on the divine level, they would cancel out all human interaction.
Okay, so that being said, the goal seems to be a human being in the world, but yet acknowledge that it's that it's all within godly context.
No, this sentence, this statement, I'd like it to repeat. I have to repeat it many times, but I don't want to answer it in brief. I want to just explain. Yitzchak is a separate entity from me. But I will respect him with the same sense of reality, respect that I would for myself. In other words, I will not offend Yitzchak or hurt him just because I'm afraid that he'll hurt me back. I just won't hurt him.
Right, and that's based on the central point.
That's based that we're all one.
Yeah.
Right, PALTIEL.
Yes, sir.
So now that the point is kind of very clear, what does it mean that this being enveloped in Hashem's knowledge is bebechinas havdalah?
Oh. This, we never made that, cross that boundary. And this we'll have to leave for next time. Just a brief introduction to this.
We do have 15 minutes.
We have what?
15 minutes.
This is not, yeah, check your time. I know this.
My clock's over there. Time check around. You know what time it is? No. That clock's not right.
It's only 7:10. 7:10 right now.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes.
We have 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, terrific.
We have time.
Oh, yeah, very good, very good, very good. Okay, so repeat your question here, if you may. Yehuda, repeat your question.
Yes, the question was, now that we have very clear this idea that we're enveloped in Hashem's knowledge, that this is the primary fabric of the reality, of the world, of our reality, what does it mean that it's bebechinas havdalah?
Oh. Okay. To approach this, to answer this question, I'll start from a step before. Interesting. We have just now concluded with clarity that the entire world, even our orientation, is really a divine presence. It's not a worldly presence. There is not any breakup between entities. We have concluded this clearly. Now let's take into account, let's take an accounting. How did we get to this conclusion? If you take a little bit of history, you'll find that we got to the conclusion after tremendous labor to break through all the questions that we have. We had a slew of questions that have a completely different presentation of where we are existing, where we are functioning. And then with our insight, with our neshama, we were able to answer the questions. And now we're convinced of the truth of these answers. But remember, we got to these answers by a process of question and answer. We did not perceive this as a primary and first step knowledge. This is, as we're learning the divine miracle, that despite the fact that this is absolutely true, it's all one perfect unity. And we function only due to the divine provision, divine koiches that empowers our action. At the same time, we do not at all sense this unity. And in order for us to get to it, we ask questions and we said, hey, well, it contradicts, it cannot be. And therefore become a logical conclusion that there's a unity, there's something that unifies.
That's why it's moved on?
This is attesting to the union that this unity, this is knowledge, the divine knowledge is a moved out from the worldly reality.
From the
worldly reality, worldly experience.
But yet not legamre, because we still greet each other and have a sense of actus.
No, legamre. Legamre. We greet each other because we learn how to interact with each other.
But yet we do, yes, have an inner sense of that. So, which means it's not.
We have a chokhmah, we have a seichel, a chokhmah sense, not a sense, we have a sense that's higher than world.
So it's like an import. It's not. I'm just trying to look at why we're saying it's completely separate and completely on a different level. We're saying legamre. Completely separate.
His perception is legamre totally because if it would not legamre totally separate, then it would not be possible for us to offend each other.
One more time. If it was not, what? If it was?
If his knowledge would be permeating the fabric of our existence,
right,
we would not be able to violate this unit.
Right. On the other hand, if it was completely separate, we'd have no Avat Yisrael. We'd have no sense of community.
So I was just completely separate. That's right. And then, as I said before, right in the beginning, we couldn't take a step.
Yeah. So it does impact. It is not completely separate. It is here, but slightly obscured from us. But it's not completely separate.
Good. Okay. Let's get there. What is the secret to this dichotomy? To this? What is the secret to this? I'm looking for the right word. The secret in this is this. The world as a divine creation, consists of two very, very distant, different principles. Oretz, which we are very familiar with,
okay.
and Shammai.
And this is from there.
This is from there.
This is like an import or some reflection.
It's not an import. He's given two parts. There's two parts of the world.
Okay, and that's moved on.
That is moved on. That's not compelling.
Even though it's affecting us somehow.
It's not somehow, very profoundly.
Yet it's still moved on legamre.
It's moved on legamre. This is why on Oretz we can function as if Oretz is an entity unto itself, but it does not break away from everything else. It's still enveloped in Shammai. It's a divine, this itself is a divine miracle that God created the world and gave it, just like in a human being, and every human being else, he has a neshama and a group. Can we perceive that there is in the group a neshama? Do we realize what that entails? Neshama is a perfect living aspect to the extent, give me an example. From a neshama perspective, we learned about this. From the neshama perspective, there is not a difference between the hand and the brain. The chayes and effort that gives chayes life, there is other difference. It's the same chayes that gives chayes to the brain and chayes to the hand. And for the nail, for that matter. Because neshama is moved at a higher, completely higher stance, quality, which is not understood in world. There's no way for us to explain worldly wise what life is. It is there from a higher, provided from a higher, completely a higher source. And let me add one more word. It's not even superimposed. The word superimposed is also incorrect. Superimposed means that the world does appreciate it. But it doesn't appreciate it. It just happens to be there. After we experience life for 70, 80, 90, 100 years, we still don't know what it is. And you know something? We have such a fine perception of life that we say, all of us, in unison, that this neshama life never ends. Human life ends, neshama life doesn't end. Neshama life is forever bound with its source. That is where it really exists. The world is only a manifestation of it, how it affects the world. It is not the true Inyan Neshama. That is definitely on the level that's called Muvdo Legamri. This principle of what neshama is, the source of neshama, is of such a high level of truth that the world doesn't even know what it is. In the world, as we say all the time, to put it very simple, even things that are united, two brothers, a father and a son, that's one entity. This one entity is not inseparable. God forbid. There are instances where two brothers can get along. Can you imagine my left hand and my right hand fighting? not because they need each other.
I'm missing this last point.
What?
I'm not getting this last point.
Last point, that's two brothers.
Right.
They have a great unity. They're from the same source, same neshama, and yet they can be separate in the world. They separate completely.
Right.
This is so odd from a truth perspective, as if you were saying my left hand and my right hand are attached with each other. It's inconceivable because the same life force that in life is the right hand, in life is the left hand. There's such perfect cooperation. If the right hand is picking something up and it's falling out, he doesn't have to go, hey, help me. Left hand is right there to hold it up. It's one entity. It's not one entity physically, but the life force in it encompasses it so totally that it does not have its own pursuit. They pursue a path of total unity amongst them.
So are you saying that this that the lack of love between brothers goes against
the truth that we're learning?
Goes against
absolutely. Absolutely.
The reason it can happen is because of the truth of worldliness.
Because that unity between is from a higher, is Havdalah Lagamri.
Right. And this is Aretz. This has its own issues, its own story.
If we have 2 minutes,
Bloom's the timekeeper.
I'll interject a perplexing phenomenon. No, this
I can't check my.
Okay, I have 1 second. $7:24. We still have 5 minutes, right?
Not 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes, then we'll get over there after 7.
Okay, whatever you say, guys. Okay, because I'm staying.
No,
okay, I just want to say this. The world has been shocked thousands and thousands of times to see the depth of disparity between two brothers. The depth of disparity between two brothers is deeper than even between two strangers. If there is a disparity between two brothers, it is devastating. Devastating. Why is that? The reason for that is because each brother senses that that which I have belongs to you. Even that it belongs to me. And therefore, for me to protect what belongs to me, I have to protect it with all the ferocity that engenders this breakup. I can't take any chances. Because in truth, it does belong to you.
So in sensing in sensing that he's wrong, he digs his heels in.
Well, wrong is not
The animosity is based on the love,
based on the unity.
the union, right? Because of their union, their animosity is
You have to establish some kind of a sureness.
a world, more of a world. They have to try to create a worldly setting, and they kind of hold on to what cannot be.
That's really a shocking thought, but that is a fact. All right, everyone, thank you very much. And those who are online, I appreciate